Okay. Okay. So I think you had completed the Django, the Django, the actual the web framework Django. You had finished it with Emma. I think last Friday. I think he finalized it with hosting your Django projects over either Heroku. But in today's session, I'm going to look at APIs and the REST framework. Okay, so I have a simple presentation here, very simple, it's not quite complicated, simple, and we're going to be looking at the REST framework and what it is. But before we actually look at the REST framework, because the REST framework is just an extension of Django, we're going to look at what some keywords in some keywords in before we actually look at the framework. So the terms that you need to know before you actually look at the Django REST framework is things like REST, which is of course representation state transfer. And in simple terms, if you search REST, and it may get kind of confusing, but remember in your mind, REST is just a style, okay, of a software style of creating or a design, which was created by somebody with on how to implement certain things on the web. And the next thing you're going to look at, of course, JSON. JSON is important, and JSON is JavaScript object notation. And I think most of you understand JSON. JSON is the industry standard, okay, of sharing data or file or like data files between two different environments. For example, you can share data between Django and React, Django and Angular, Django and even Android. You can still share data with JSON, and it's quite simple because it just uses some bit of JavaScript. I know most of you know this. And the next one is a hypertext transfer protocol. Of course, HTTP. You have to know this because at the end of the whole understanding of the web, the background or the backbone or the building block of the web is HTTP. Okay, can I have HTTP with an S, which is HTTPS? But remember, HTTP protocol or hypertext transfer protocol, it allows you to fetch resources, to share everything that happens on the web uses HTTP. Okay, and the last two ones you have, of course, you have to learn the status codes, things like 200, 400, 403, 404, all those things. Okay, and of course the indicators for a request. Then of course the last one, which is specific to Django, it's serialization. We're going to look at this one later on. We're going to look at how we can serialize our models, but in simple terms, serialization simply changes our models to a bit of like a JSON format. And the next slide is about the basic HTTP methods, which you have to know. Of course, I'm sure most of you know this. And okay, there are basically around four, can say five, but there are around 5 of them, which are very common. We have post, put, patch, and delete. Of course, they all end up forming CRUD. Of course, post you create, get you read, put you update, put and patch they all both update, but I think put you delete, then you replace, then patch you just simply apply small changes. Then of course the last one is delete. This is like delete, the basic method which you have to know, especially if you are dealing with a web, whether you are doing with any language, whether you are dealing with whether Python, whether React, whether JavaScript, whether Java, as long as you're dealing with the web, mostly in the web, those are the 5 major methods which you have to at least understand. Of course, the most common one is get, and most of you have used get, have tried get before. The moment you create an HTML page, that's like a get, of course, because you are actually the moment you render out an HTML page or template, that's a get, okay, because you're getting, you're retrieving. And of course, posting your forms, things like forms and stuff. Putting, you are updating some content. Deleting is also removing a resource completely from the database or from the server. And the common HTTP methods or status codes, which you have to know before you actually go ahead and understand APIs and the web. Okay? You have to look at the 200, which is okay. And this is usually for GET requests. Then you have 201, which is usually for post requests, also put and patch. Then you have 400, which is bad request. This error happens a lot if you have maybe sent the wrong data to the server. So of course, you have 40441, which is unauthorized, which is different from 403, which is forbidden. Because I think 401, you are not allowed to enter to our website. For example, when you have to register to access some content, that's unauthorized. But for forbidden, you don't have rights. You may be a user, but you're not an admin. That's 403. So 401 is when you are not logged in. 403 is you are logged in, but you don't have the credentials of an admin, probably for resource. So unauthorized is you are not authorized to access data because you're logged in. Then forbidden is you can't access it because you are restricted with your authority or with your credentials. The last one, of course, is 404. Everyone knows this. 404. Resource not found. Okay, these are the most common HTTP source codes. I think I also share with you some link to MDN. So if you just type MDN in Google, search MDN, then you look at HTTP. MDN gives you quite a lot of details on all these things. So this is good to know. So I've shared it with you. So MDN has quite a lot of resource on that. Okay, all that things like cross, which I think you looked at with Emma when you're trying to. I think I will look at this later on. Cross is quite important. And then of course we will look at cookies and you should look at that. Okay, but you can look at the messages, the headers. We look at the headers later on. Then you have of course the methods, which are all this. See, there are very many. You have trace, you have options, but of course we have the major ones, which is delete, get, post, and put. But of course, you can go ahead and read more on it and see, understand it. But we're going to, of course, look at it more in details. Okay, so good. And the last one, which is internal server error, which of course, this is one of the most common errors that you're going to get, like 500 internal server error. Because internal server error, you don't know what's happening. It just gives you, right? For example, when your server fails, it just give you internal server error. Because internal server error has no details, so it's a bit kind of tricky to work with. But of course, we're going to look at that later on. And so after this codes, we're going to look at okay, the Django REST framework, okay, because I think we're done with all this, the nitty-gritties of getting it started with REST framework or with any. Actually, this applies to any framework we're going to be using, whether it's front-end framework, whether it's back-end. You have to understand this. And of course, now I'm going to look at the Django REST framework and to just make it kind of fast because I'm going to repeat this over and over again. But Django REST framework is an extension of Django, which allows you to create REST APIs. Okay, REST APIs is a standard. REST is a, and of course REST is a standard. Then the API is application programming interface. So I'm going to share some videos. It's like 2 minutes or 3 videos, which you can understand REST and APIs. But in simple terms, REST APIs just allow you to connect a server and some other thing. For example, connecting your Django application to React. Because right now, what you have been doing previously, you have been doing what we call a server-side rendering. Okay. So you have been rendering your HTML pages. Okay, server-side. The server-side rendering. That means you get your HTML pages. They're coming from the server. Okay, that means every time a new page arrives, yeah, it has to come from the server. Okay, but with REST framework allows you to do what we call a client-side rendering. That means you're having data coming from the backend, but all the HTML, all the JavaScript, all the CSS is coming from the client. Okay, you can look at the clients and stuff later on when you are trying to connect it to the Django and React. But in your mind, remember that server side is what I've been doing with Emma. I've been doing things like render template, a template on render, like render template. Then you create a template in the HTML page. Then after rendering it, then you go ahead and serve it. Then to get to a new page, you have to click and refresh the page. That means every time the web or the link or the server has to make a request, or the client or the browser has to make a request to the server for a new page. But later on, we're going to look at how we can get data from our database using Django and Django REST framework without actually having us to create the templates. Okay, because this can be used in any applications. Because with REST you can use it Android, you can use it with front end, even you can use it with iOS. So it can work in anywhere at any time. You just have to connect the two, and you're done. And okay, so this is like a simple kind of a walkthrough of how Django works. We're going to get into this later on, but I just want you to have maybe a simple picture in mind. Okay, so you have the Django which has the models, has all the views. Okay, then of course you have something on top of Django which allows you to serialize, okay, and create some kind of data which is available for you in React or Angular or anything. So what remember, the REST framework simply is like a connection which allows you to have data available on the front end, okay, or makes data public. Because in simple terms, Django is a self-contained framework. That means all the stuff that you're having on in application stays within the application, is closed. But when you know this REST allows you to share the data between maybe from the models. You can serialize the models. Then after you create a view, which the view comes and it's accessible via some either page or Axios or X request. So it doesn't matter what you use, but it allows you to have the data available on the front end. Then the last one is this is why we're going to begin. Okay, it's a quick start of Django REST framework. Okay, so the first step, of course, you create a Django model. Okay, the second step, you serialize the model. Third step, you create a view and connect it to an endpoint. The last one, start the server. Okay, and the last one, which is you test your API. Okay, and that's it. Okay, that's it with a simple REST framework. Okay, so we're going to get into the actual how to get started. Okay, but before I go ahead and begin, because I wanted us to just pass through the slides quick, so I'm going to now reduce the pace and make it a bit slow. So any questions? Okay, questions from the slides?
A question, eh?
Yes, go ahead.
Does Django REST framework handle all the methods that I saw from one of your previous slides? There was that last one there. I'd never seen it before. One of the HTTP methods, is it? Yeah.
Okay.
It was in one of your slides. The last one.
Delete.
Not delete. Is it after patch?
Put.
There's put. The last one. Which was the last one? It was in. Some site. Is it the developer?
MDN. Oh.
Site. Yeah.
MDN. Where is it? Request.
The methods. Yeah.
In actuality, the browser only allows I think 3 methods. Okay, no, 2 methods. Tries get and post. Okay, tries get and post. You have get and post. Okay, that's a browser itself. Okay, you can either get or you can post. But in a way, when you are going to the server, it can do all those. You can do all those. You can do trace. I think trace. I'm not sure. You can do all this. Okay, they are available because okay. Where's our request here? You can actually do all this for any server, whether it's Django, whether it's Express, whether it's what. You can do all this, but in actuality, to do maybe a patch, no, maybe to do maybe a delete on an Express server, it goes ahead somehow and does a post. It just simply because the browser itself, the browser cannot attempt to do a delete. Okay, can't do a delete. It can't do a delete. The browser itself, but the server can do a delete. The server can do a get, can do a head, can do a patch, can do a post. But when it comes to, we're going to see it later on that it's hard for us to attempt to do I think like a put that actually has tricking the server, okay? Because the server can do all of them. I think Django can do all this. Okay, it can do all of this. These are protocols or methods which are available for any browser, any server. They can, but of course we don't use all of them. We use what we need. Okay. But I'll do research and see if, because I've not used Trace before on the Django REST framework, I'll look through it and see how it works and how you can use it. I'll get back to you on that later. But anyway, any other questions? Questions?
Question.
Yes, go ahead.
So from the research slide where you showed Django, then REST framework, and then I saw React Angular, and I think Vue.js.
This one here.
The REST framework is supposed to be yes, this one. Like, I don't know, let me see. You can't have Django directly connected to React.
It's possible, okay?
It's
possible to have
framework to connect.
It's possible.
React.
Yeah, it's possible to have Django connected to React, but you can never access the data without actually using some squiggly brackets. Like, it's kind of hard to access the data from Django directly into React or directly into JavaScript. It's possible. It's possible, okay? It's possible to have data available in React, okay? But all the applications are going to be building, they're going to be called server-side rendering, okay? That means you are not, all the data is coming from the server, okay? How can I explain it? Let me just show you like an image, okay? Hello, yes. Let me just I'll show you an image of what I'm meaning. At the moment, yeah, so can work on be. Okay, so I'm just So I'm just going a simple image of okay, let me just download this image. No choice. Minute. Download. I'll show you an example what I was saying. Okay, good. So what I'm saying is, hopefully you can see this. Okay, so what I'm saying, yeah, well, this kind of not clear because it has no background. But you know that we have a server. Okay, here is a server. Okay, where you have all your things. You have everything. You have your Python code. Okay, and then every time a client clicks on a link, okay, maybe you click on a new link, you have to connect to the server again, okay, to get resources, okay. But when it comes to things like React is you only get it once from the server, then all the code stays on the client, okay, stays in the browser, okay. It stays on the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, okay. But when it comes to things like Django or Python, they're always on the server, okay. On the server, and to make a request, you have to click on a link. The link goes and make a request to the server. Then the server comes again, shares that resource. But when it comes to server, like a client side request, right? Everything is on the server. Okay, everything is in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Everything is on the server. You have access to everything. I'm going to look at it later on. I'm going to show it to you that in a minute. Okay, but for example, if you I'm going to show it to you later on, okay? Like I'm going to show it to you how what I'm meaning by server side and client side, okay? In a minute. So, any other questions apart from that? I'll answer a question later on when you're trying to set up our application. Any other questions?
Thanks, Eric.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Okay, good. So the first step, as we are saying from the slide, first step was for us to create a model, okay, and then you serialize the model, okay. And to get started with Django REST framework is quite simple. Of course, I have looked at Django with Emma. That means you are convenient with Django. That means, in a way, Django REST framework, you have to understand Django before you actually go ahead and dive into Django REST framework. You have to first understand Django itself, okay? How Django works, how to set up maybe a project, how to set up an app, how to release an app. All those things have to know them before you actually go ahead and dive deep into the Django framework. Okay. So I'm going to just comment right away. I'm going to create a new project somewhere on my desktop, somewhere here. Okay, so I'm going to create a new folder somewhere on my desktop or on my computer. New folder. Okay, let me do this. Let me use the terminal. So I'm going to make a new folder, like always, new folder. I'll name it API. Okay, simple as that. Now seed into API. Then of course I will let me just do this real quick. Okay, so like always, you create your folder. I'm going through these steps, but of course, I know most of you understand the steps, which is just creating a virtual environment and activating the environment. But I'm going to go through it real quick. So I'm creating an environment called env. Then I'm going ahead and activating it. Okay. Then after activating it, because I know most of you understand this. Activating it, I'm going to go ahead and install. Before actually install, if you go ahead to the site and just look at at installation, they'll give you what to install. Okay, so install Django framework. These other two, you don't need to install them, just install Django framework. So I install Django framework, Django REST framework, or short they usually call it DRF. So I installed Django REST framework. So if you install Django REST framework, also install Django, because you need Django to run Django REST framework, because Django REST framework is simply an add-on or an application within the Django REST framework. So within the Django framework. So just install Django and Django REST framework. Of course, in my case, I think it's gonna be fast because I've already installed it somewhere before, so it will be a bit fast. To take some time, of course, and it will be done. Okay. So as it be done, I'm going to go ahead and open this browser, this folder in what? Okay, so after starting, it's done already. It's done. I can open this in VS Code. Now let me do it real quick because we don't have time. Open in VS Code, and of course VS Code has to be the side. Okay, VS Code here. So I've opened my folder in VS Code. I'm going to do the basics of every time when you create a new project for Django. Okay, campus active environment again. Okay, I'm in the wrong folder. Let me see. Okay, I should do this real quick. /scripts/activate. Okay, so I'm going to Django admin a minute. Okay, so I'm going to create a new project. I'll start project. Yeah, project. I'll start a project. I won't call it same name, API. Let's make it sure everything is the same. And it's okay. And then of course I'll cd into API. Then of course I'll run Python. I'm doing the same thing like Visual Basic Manager Py. I think it's called startup. I'm call it let me call it quick pause. Okay, a pause app. Let's create a pause app. Okay. Then of course refresh here. Good. So I can code this. Let me do this real quick because I think I need to have a new order. Be organized. This is not organized. Okay. So now hopefully it will. It should now activate my environment. Okay, good. And then pass activate my memory. What is wrong with this? Okay. Let me pass to this real quick. ls theme.env/script/activate. Okay, cd back to API. Okay, good. Now I've finished creating my application. Okay, so if I run, of course, localhost 3000, Python managed by run server. It should run our server, okay, like always. Okay, Yeah, good. Just setting it up. I was setting up my application for always. I was setting up my application, okay, like for Django. That's why I'm taking too much time. But in your case, you already have something already running, okay? You have your application running already, so you don't need to bother with setting up your application anymore. But in our case, I've already finished setting up my application. I've already installed Python. Sorry, I've already installed Django, and also installed Django REST framework. Okay? So now the next step is for me to go ahead and open up this my page and see. Okay, good. This is understandable. Good. Now that complaining about it's okay. Oh, this is a wrong one. Okay. Let me check on the time. Do I have a wrong application? Interesting. Okay, let's do this. Moment. Control C. Again. Okay. Good. So successful. Okay, sorry about it. But remember, as I was saying, with Django, Django framework, I think it works with Django 2.2 and above. Okay, so if you have Django 2.2 above, it will work. I think other versions of Django before 2.2 they don't work. Okay, so when I finish installing Django, I finish all these things. Okay, so I think it's like a recap for most of you, and but since you already installed Django REST framework, the first step is, of course, you have to add it to your applications. Okay, remember, when you install a new like a package, you of course most of the packages, actually all of them, go ahead and add them to the app, to the installed apps. Okay, so here I'll add the pause app. Okay, I'll add the pause app because you have a pause app already. So I'll add the pause app. I also add let me see the name of the framework, how they call it, how they reference it. Okay, and if I go here, you see it's called REST framework. So I'll copy this lazy. Okay, simple as that. So I'll copy it, go back to my application, and I paste it. Okay, very simple, because they're saying the name of the reference, okay, to the Django REST framework is called REST_framework. So it has to be REST_framework. So that's all. We have finished now making our application ready to use the Django REST framework. Okay, good. So the next step is, after installing Django REST framework, you're going to create a URL for it. Okay, and remember in your mind, REST framework is an extension of Django. So the Django knowledge which you have been getting in the past few days, you don't neglect it. Okay, you don't throw it aside. It's the same things. Okay, so the first step is for us to create somewhat some URLs. Okay, so of course you go ahead, like always, you create a URL here. .py moment. Okay, so after creating your URL, of course, I'm just going through this because I know most of you understand this. Okay, understand these basics. Okay, so I'm going to is it? Because this is just simply Django. I'm just getting this from a previous URLs. Then you import path. Okay, this is just let me URLs, not URL. Name URLs. So I'm just doing this from Django, okay? This is just a Django project. So in your case, imagine you already have a Django project running, okay? And you want to make it RESTful, okay? That means you go ahead and remember, in my case, I'm just setting up these things from scratch. Okay? In your case, you have already these things, you have already patterns, already have the views. Okay, so in your case, you're going to maybe transfer. Okay, in my case, since I'm starting from scratch, and then just make a path here. It should be empty here, comma. I need to look at views dot index, comma, then I give it a name also, name equals index, no matter what you name it. Okay. Because what's it complaining? It's okay.
Should be from Django.urls.
Pardon?
It should be from Django.urls import path.
Oh, sorry. I was going. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much. So formatted, good. So I finished setting up my Django project, my URLs. Okay, then of course I want to also create a model. Okay, a quick model, and to not waste too much of our time. Okay, I went to the pose tutorial from Django, which is here. Let me just bring it up here. That's what this building a poll app, okay? The same application there. Then I went to part 3. It was down here. It was supposed to be part. It was about the models, so I think it was part 4. Writing your table contents. Let's look at this because I need to. Okay. Yeah. Design your model. Not this one, sorry. I want the one for pose app. Okay, I don't know why I'm not getting it. So I think I'm going to just copy and paste the whole model. Just save us time, okay? Just a bit of time. This one here, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and copy this, okay? Same thing. Because it will make a difference. Copy it. Then I go back to my VS Code. Like that. Okay. Then of course I'm going to paste go back to my models, then I paste this, okay? To make sure it's working, everything is working the way I want it to work, okay? Of course, I've got one thing. I've got to add this within our URLs here. Of course, I have to go ahead and you have to include here, I think. Include, okay? I know most of you know these things, so I'm a bit fast. So path, I'll name it, let's name it pause. Okay, you can name it pause, doesn't matter what you name it. So I'll say comma, I'll include argument is pause. You can remember pause don't URLs, okay? Save this. Yes, okay. So I'll pause on URL. They're saying views not defined. It's okay. We don't mind about the views. And go back to our URLs here. Views not index. So we have to import also view. Okay. So import from dot import views. Okay. Good. Now everything's set up. Okay, save this. Should now stop this. Okay. And I'm saying, okay, it's okay. So I go back to my views. Okay, I create a function called index, and we'll go ahead and of course this has taken request request then of course down here a response, so return what is called the response, HTTP multi response, yeah, response. Okay, then of course I'm going to return some text saying hello world. Okay, hello world should work. Okay, of course HTTP coming from where? Coming from Django, not HTTP. If I remember correctly, HTTP import response. No, it was supposed to be HTTP response. HTTP response. The same spelling are good. So now this should work, and this should give us hello world. Okay, in our app, hopefully. Yes, it should. Let us close some of these tabs. Here, refresh, good. If I go /pause, good, good. Finally, it took us some time, but we managed to create our first application. Okay, my first application in a long time with Django. So now, after we are done with our application, okay, we are done with creating our response. Okay, there's something else which if you do some research, apart from HTTP response, you can also return what you call a JSON response. Okay, so you can return a JSON response instead of an HTTP response. And if you hover it, will tell you it's a string of content. Okay, allows you to get a string of content. But for JSON, allows you to have what? To have data. Okay, response that consumes data to be serialized to JSON. Okay, that means you put some data which is like which supposed to look like JSON, and it will output JSON. Okay, so remember, in a case you can have you can create a dictionary here. You can come here and say const. Let's say country. Let's say person. Okay, can say person equals to a dictionary. Okay, then you can have things like name. Okay, you can say my name is John Doe. Okay, then maybe you can have the age. Okay, this is like remember, in our case here, if you are looking at this is a Python object or a Python dictionary. Okay, so you can say age. Maybe the age is there, maybe there 42, 33, 34, maybe. Then you have maybe the country. Maybe it is Uganda. Okay, so remember this part here. Okay, this part is JavaScript. Sorry, it's Python object. Okay, so this is a Python object, not here. A Python object, a Python dictionary. Okay, and since this can be translated and made into a dictionary. Okay, this can be translated and made into the same kind of JSON. Okay, with the same kind of structure. We can come here, instead of having an HTTP response, we can have a JSON response. Then you can of course add here our person. Okay, here like that you save. This is one way of us attempting. Let me show you the result. What's the result? Okay, refresh. And that's minus. Okay, and I have this. I have an extension. It's called, I think it's called. This extension is called. It's called JSON Viewer. It's an extension. Okay, it allows me to see JSON within our application. So you see, this is JSON. Okay, and you can view source. Of course, this is JSON. This is not what? It's not strings, right? It's JSON. Okay. For example, if I go back to my application here one more time, and I'll show you an example one more time just before. here, and instead of having this, maybe let's do this, control copy, control V, then you have HTTP here one more time, HTTP response, okay? Then I have this, the whole thing, but in a string. So you can have two strings here. Okay. Here, so you can have this. Control this, just like this. Okay. This is a string, and I know we are using double switch strings, I think, to convert, okay, to just allow us to have a string, okay, with other characters in it. So if I check again, refresh, see, it's still giving JSON, but it shouldn't give me JSON. Let me remove this extension. It shouldn't give me JSON. Let me suppose extension. This should be a text, shouldn't be extension. This is a text, okay? A text. But when, because I think that application sees some strings and stuff, but when it comes to the actual response, okay? This actual response here, where is it? Where here? This one here. And if I try to say JSON response here, it will be a string state, to be a string, which is just a normal string, to be a string, okay? And of course, it's giving me an error saying, in order to allow non-dictionary objects to be serialized, set the parameters to false. Okay, so in a way, the HTTP, so the JSON response takes in some kind of dictionary or an object, which is either an array or also a list. I can have a list or a dictionary. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to what I had here before, which is this. Okay, and I remove this other one, second one here. Okay, remember this is a dictionary. Then the response here, or the get request or the response, okay, it's a dictionary. And to prove it to be true, okay, you can simply refresh here, right click, actually an extension, inspect, okay, you increase the size here, inspect, go to network, okay, then let's refresh again. Then you can click on either all, okay, then you can see here. If you look at here down here, it should give you, okay, where is it? Here. It's not going up. Okay, hopefully you can see it here. Why did it? Okay, sorry, I don't know why it's not going up. Okay. So if you look at down here, so if you just scroll down here, it shows you headers. Okay, content type application / JSON. Okay, this part here. Okay, if I go back and I change this response one more time, change it to prove it to you, change it back to HTTP response. HTTP response, then I put maybe a string of hello. Shouldn't be JSON, I think. Let's put some words, okay, and see again. Okay. Where is it? Here, refresh, a string, pause, okay. Then I think if you scroll down here, it should give you response headers, content type, text / HTML, okay. Then the chassis size. Remember, when you check, I don't know why it's not going up here. I want to just have this only. Okay, it's not moving. I don't know why it's not moving, but I guess make it bigger here and make smaller. Okay, hope you can see it. But showing you here is text or HTML. But when I change it back to JSON, the response is JSON. Back to JSON again. Okay, because JSON is what's important. Okay, JSON. So that's one thing you should know in your mind, you should have it in your mind, okay, at the back of your mind, that the responses that I'm going to be getting from our REST framework they're either gonna be either JSON, or if you want to customize your own server, can have XML. Okay, so either JSON or XML. But these days we use a lot of XML. Okay, so now let's go ahead and look at the 4 things, which are the 5 steps. Okay, create a model, serialize the model, create a view, then see things in action. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do, of course, I think you have a model already. Server model. I have 2 models here. Okay, 1 and 2. So I'm going to serialize the model. Okay, I'm going to make the model serialized. Okay, so you can of course do the same thing. You can go ahead back to your view. Okay, so I'm going to do the serialization inside the view. Okay, so down up, let me do it here. Okay, so I can do here serialization. Okay. So serialization is quite simple. It's simply create a class. Okay, a class, almost a replica of the model. Okay, the model, a replica, almost the same thing. So class, I'll call it question serializer. Okay, and it's gonna inherit from something called serializer. Okay, don't model serializer. Go look at this later on. Okay, serializers. I'll take on one SD. Go look at this. So up here, I'm going to go ahead and say from. Let me see again. I may have forgotten where we're getting it from. Okay, so where's Django REST framework? So it should come from serializers. If you check serializers here, it should come from REST framework. Okay, REST framework. So back here, to be sure, on the sure side, from REST framework. Okay, import serializers with an S. So this has been serializers. Don't model serializer 1 serializer thing. Serializers from I can do this MC dot model serializer. Okay, good. Then after importing that, I'm going to just do some few things. I'm going to look at different serializers, but the most useful one is this one, the model serializer. Okay, and it takes it you define 2 properties. The first one is a field. No, it's a model. So a model, the model is gonna be equal to the question. Okay, and the question is of course coming from dot models import question, like that. Okay, then you can say model equals question. Yes. Okay, then you can have fields like that, which is an array. It can be an array or a tuple, but I'll go with an array. Okay, so I simply get the names. Okay, remember this is, you might have to get the names, the actual names of the fields. Okay, so these 2 names. Okay, this one here, the question text, back to our view. The question text, comma, and let me see the pub date. The pub date, I need to add something to it. Pub date, I need to have it comma auto created equals true. Just make sure that I don't have to manually type in the date. So back to our views. So I'll only pass in 1. Okay, the text, the question text. Okay, I would pass in. Should I? I think I'm supposed to pass it in. So I pass in the pub date. So I'll pass in the pub date also, just to be on the safer side, because I may need it in the future. So Okay. So I have question, I have update, okay, which is the same thing as here, question, text, then update. Then now, right now, at this moment here, is we have already done the part of serializing. Okay, the next part is for us to go ahead and define our view. Okay, like always, like you do at define. Okay, so def a function. Let's name it list question. Okay, this underscore question. Question, I think text in a request. If the text in a request, okay. Then of course, after taking a request, what does it return? It should return. Okay. Oh, that's important. So what you do after creating a request, you must return some response. Okay, return response. Okay, I'm going to look at all this later on, but by now I just want us to have maybe some kind of a boilerplate. Okay, to start with, response. Not in this case, I'm not going to use just a response. We're going to use a response coming from REST framework. So I want to come here and say from REST framework this dot response. Here response import response. Yes, like that. Hopefully, what is error complaining? Okay, the error will go away. Good. So now here I will return a response, and the response will contain some kind of data. Okay. So you can here I can return maybe this object here, the person here. I can say person. It works the same way. No difference. Person. Okay. I can return a person. Okay. The same object. There's no difference. Instead of doing this JSON response like the way you did with render, we are doing with HTML. You can do response. This response is coming from REST framework. Same applies. Instead of returning HTTP response, you return render. Okay, so I'm returning a response, and I guess I'm just putting up a person. Okay, but in actuality, what I need to do is I need to account for the methods. Okay, which I told you before. Okay, so and just an example. Okay, so because in our case here, we are not defining, we are not specifically telling it that it should do a post. Because remember, in APIs, you can do. We want to look at it, put, fetch, delete, all that. Since you are not telling it what's gonna do, like the methods, okay, we can go ahead and define some kind of a statement. Okay. Or you don't need to define it. Do we need to define it? Don't need to. Okay, you can just simply do okay, it's okay. You can do questions, here's the question, okay, equals questions equals to, let's first create the questions. Okay, remember like last time when you do question, this question like that, dot object dot all. Yeah, so this is like you are grabbing the object. This I think this one all of you understand it. These questions dot objects dot all grabs all the questions within a database. Okay, then we can do here something like now. Since remember these questions here, it's what it's a JavaScript, or it's a Python or reference. Okay. To our database. Okay, that's why we're going to serialize the whole thing, change it. Okay, and it should return what should return a base manager. Okay, so it returns like a model kind of object. Okay, so I'm going to change it from being that scrambled Python code to JSON, okay, by doing serializer. No, let's do a new so we can do a new variable. Let's call it data. No, let's call it response. The response, let's call it race. Okay, the race equals to question serializer. Okay, this serializer here. Then you pass in the question, this object here, the questions. Okay, comma. Then you pass in. For example, you can pass in either read only, you can pass in write only, you can pass in required, empty, all that. In our case, I'm going to return, because you're having so many questions, you can have many equals true, because in our case, we'll be having lots of questions. Okay, that's why we're doing many equals true, because we want to return so many objects. Okay, so many different like a group of an array. Okay, so it's an return array. Okay, array. Okay, or a list. When many is true, when many equals true, it's a list. Okay, it's a list. When you don't put many equals, if you put many equals false, you return on a one object. Okay, so after doing that, instead of returning the response, you can return race dot data, like that. Okay, format can't format 3. So as simple as that. Okay, and hopefully when I go to, I don't have this view, first get this view real quick. So back to your edge, let's put a path here. Copy this, copy paste. I will change this to questions slash. Then I can do don't this question, because I don't want this request here. This question name, then name it to questions. Okay, so this is complete up here. Good. Let's see what it gives us. Okay, real quick, then we can refresh this page here. Okay, good. That one works. If I go to /poll/questions, it should give me what it's saying. Pose question. Okay, the issue is with our, we didn't migrate. Okay, forgot the step. Okay, so let's first migrate. Python manage make migrations. Let's migrate real quick here. Migrate. Good. Okay, then you can run the server again. Then it will run and to be successful. Okay. So I think if I check again, it should be successful and should give me kind of an interface. Okay. What is saying? Accepted render not set on response. Where is it? It's complaining, saying accepted render method. Okay, let me just fix this real quick. Okay? So okay, I've gotten because let me see. I need to do this. Let's do this real quick. I need to come back to my views here and do if request dot method equals to double equals get. Okay, that's when I want to do this to this part of serialization, like that. Okay, then if it's not, now I want to return. Hopefully it will work. Okay, save this. If I request method, it should show this. If I force, hopefully it works. Okay, hopefully it works. Refresh. Okay. I think. Let's see. Let's add one more other value. I've checked here and they're asking me, they're telling me to add this. This you exempt it from cross-site forgery. Okay, and hopefully, let me see. Pause our views here. This question. Okay, so I think. Okay, it should come from let me see where it's coming from. It should come from decorations. Okay, let's do this quick. So I guess add this now, explain later. Questions at the top here. Yes. So I'm getting a decorator from views, decorators, and I'm getting this exempt. Okay, this decorator called CSRF exempt. Okay, hopefully it works. Where is it? Wait here. Slash questions. It's still complaining. Why? Okay. Is that an error? Let me check one more time, then I can respond. Questions. Object. Don't get all. Then we get a response, which is that. Visualize it. Visualizer. Then when it goes through. Why is it complaining? Okay. I don't know why it's complaining, but it's saying what is saying? Assertion error. Accept render not set on response. Okay. No, okay, let me just do this because I need this thing to be working. Just make sure everything is working real quick. Just copy this and paste it here from this example. So I'm getting this example because I don't want to waste too much time. So I'm getting this example here from the tutorial, the serialization. I'm not sure what's happening with my code, so I'm going to go ahead and see, check what's wrong with mine. Should be just a response. Okay. Let's try, instead of having this, we have some response. Let's see if it pays what I want to just go ahead and okay, good. In order to allow to be serialized, set. Okay, let's do this real quick.
I have a tiny question.
Yes, go ahead.
I have a tiny suggestion.
Yes, go ahead.
On this, yes. On line 22.
Line 22.
Yeah, okay, line, yes. I think something is missing based on the documentation. They have something like class meta. Then you put in all those.
Oh yeah, you're right. Let me check again. Yeah, you're right. Thank you for that. So it should be class meta here. Class meta. Thank you. Small c. And then of course we do this. We save. Hopefully if I remove this response, it should work. Okay. Let's see. That this. If I remove this, hopefully it works. Refresh. Still not the same thing. Okay, let's just do this. And let me just back to one for JSON. I'll fix it later on. Say slash safe equals false. Safe equals false. Yeah, hopefully it works somehow, somewhere, because we don't have too much time on our side. Refresh. Okay, good. I returned something empty, which is fine. Okay, which is fine because I was not sure about the response. Why is it failing to work? But why it shouldn't give me this interface? Okay, I don't have a post. So it's on a gate. Okay, then let's do this. Okay, I have I'm going to go ahead and copy the same code which I have. Then I change to what I want it to look like. Okay, so back to this here. Okay, let me show it to you. This here, just to avoid errors. I just go here because having this response here. Okay, so I'll do this for post, but it should work, shouldn't it? Okay, let's try another method. Instead of having this CSRF, let's try one which uses the actual view. We're going to look at all this later on. Okay, so I want, instead of having this CRSF, I want to have something called API view. We're going to look at this later on. Okay, API view, API underscore view. Okay, if you like this, then on our decorator here you can have add API like that. Then it takes in an array. I'll take in on a get. Okay, like that. Then here I return the response. Hopefully it works. Okay. Now why is complaining? Okay, it's complaining. Okay, why is complaining? It's saying no more denamed. It's supposed to be REST framework. Sorry, not Django. It's supposed to be. Where is it? Decorators here. Here, remove this. We do REST framework. REST framework. Okay. Hopefully it works. Okay, hopefully it works. Then I'll go back to explanation. Okay. Yeah, good, it has worked. Hope it works. Then we're having no errors here. Refresh. Okay, it has worked. Okay, I just wanted this interface. Okay, so I think when you're using the JSON, the return, like JSON response, it won't give you this interface. But when you're using the response from REST framework, it gives you this kind of interface. Okay, where you can do things like get and post. Okay, because here I can't change this, but in our case, if I add a post, if I go ahead and do this, back to my not here, where's it here, down here, and I add comma post. Comma. Let's put post. If I put post, comma, and I say comma also, like that, and I save, and I come here, refresh. It should give me a place where I can where I can add some data. Okay, so you can see I'm having this kind of form where I can post some data. Okay, And since you haven't, so let's in the next 2 minutes, let me just cover that, and then we can call it a day. Then since because these things, I think if you remember your Django, sorry, your Django code, okay, your Django knowledge, the things like if frequency equals true, then you return this, okay. All these things are there, okay. So in our case, I'm gonna do the same thing, but instead of that over get, I'm gonna do for post real quick, okay. And is it you do an S? No, you have to do an elif. And okay, elif, the same thing here. This when you go ahead and you can use this same methods that you've been using in Python, and you can change from get to post by simply adding accounting for the post request. So I'm going to same thing, an elif request equals method question method equals post. Then I can go ahead and same thing which I did before, but this time I want to just copy this same response, copy it, come down here, paste the response, and then of course I can check, I can say if serialize or if the response or the request, the rest, just name it quick, just make sure it's a request here. And if rec here don't is valid, underscore valid, it's a method available on every serializer, then I can do a save like the way you save data. So I can do the way you save something using Django, okay. So I can do I want to rec don't save. So I've saved. I've saved the request, okay. Then finally I can go ahead and return a response, okay. So here, if everything is successful, I can return a response, okay. Response of the data, okay, which is the request don't data, okay. That's all, okay. So at first we have gotten using the get method, you can go ahead and grab the whole object, then you can serialize the object. After then you return the statement. If you are posting, of course you get a serializer, you pass in the object, which is of course the same object here, and this object question is the same thing as this, okay. Then there's no difference. And then you check if the request is valid, then you can save, okay. Then of course now if I check again my browser, let's close this up, waste again here, I refresh, it is showing me something and I can do, and it's asking me to pass it some JSON. So I can do here, I can do some JSON by passing in. Remember our question is question, that's our value, question underscore text, okay, underscore text. And then I can put some data and say hello, what is your name? Then I can remember this is valid JSON, and I can post. Hopefully answering questions is referred before assignment. Okay, let me just check again because maybe I'm having some errors here. Okay, so it's questions here, response, questions, elif. Oh, sorry, I don't need to pass in the question here anymore. Sorry about that. I need to pass in because it's a request, so I can say data, or the data which is coming for the serializer equals to data here equals to the request. Okay, the request don't data, and this request on data here, this part here, is coming from when you do a post request. Okay, then I can save this. Okay, then of course here I'll go back to my application, go back, let's go back inside, let's refresh. Good, so you can do now one time. We do question, then we can do question underscore text, sorry, question underscore text. Okay, then the question has to be hello, what is your name? Okay, then I can close this up, and I can post. Hopefully now you can see now I'm having this response which is having HTTP size here, HTTP okay, meaning that it is the fetch or the get request is successful. Then it allows get options also post. And then of course you can see now the question is text, and it's a question. Okay, and if I refresh here, it stays there because I've already sent a request to the server. You can see this is a date. So in a way we have successful been able to send some data to the database. And if you check our database, the SQL, the data is there, and we have made a request through this interface from Django REST framework. So later on, we're going to look at how we can use something called either Postman or some other thing, some other tool which can allow us to do requests. So I'm going to stop here for today. So on Wednesday, we're going to continue from here. Have a great evening.